Might be a little bit of a difficult day for Jason Bargwanna. Not the best in qualifying, but this guy sits on the front row. That is Craig Lowndes, Russell Ingall on the second row as we check the Shell Helix grid. Bright for the third time in his V8 supercar career will start from the #1 spot the second time this year. Scaife behind his teammate in third, Russell Ingall. Neil Crompton, another good effort. John Bowe in the Cat Ford sixth, Paul Radicic and Garth Tander.
Glenn Seaton now qualified by his teammate Stephen Johnson. Great run that in the top 10. John Faulkner and Stephen Richards. Cameron Mcconville making a second appearance in the Commodore. Greg Murphy alongside Jason Bargwanna and Tony Longhurst.
Go back to position 17, Mark Larkham, Cam Mclean, the top privateer, Perkins and Romano. Mark Poole returns in the ex-Craig Lowndes car. Rodney Forbes, Darren Pate, he also returns, and Dougal McDougall.
Back to row 13, Paul Wheel and David Parsons. Anthony Tratt and Steve Reed start out of 14. Leighton Cranbrook, 17-year-old kid from Darwin. Keep an eye on him. Peter Dorman out of 15. Chris Smurden and Rod Nash.
Now, it's very tough in qualifying because of maximum grid capacity of 32 cars. We in fact had 39 entries, or 39 people turn up, so 7 have missed the cut but are standing by to slip on in. Now here's some of the in-car cameras we will give you today on Network 10. Paul Radicic in the number 18 Shell Helix Ford for the first time is carrying one of our cameras. You can see the man who used to wear number 18, John Bowe, in front. Mark Larkham, who has a lot on his mind today. His wife Robin is expecting their 4th child, and he's saying, Robin, hold on, I'm home at 9:30.
Yeah, he's a very expectant dad, isn't he? The baby's a few days late, so could happen any minute.
Incidentally, talking about babies, Brett Wing, the ex-world barefoot water ski champion, just had a little baby boy, so congratulations, Brett.
Big thumbs up from Glenn Seaton, carrying another one of our cameras in the FTR Falcon.
I tell you what, the first lap around here is going to be exciting, isn't it? Into the right-hander over the crest of the hill is going to be very exciting.
Well, they've in fact, to try and avoid that first corner carnage, they've instigated a new grid format where the first 4 rows are the same, and then they've spaced them out after that, which is something interesting, Mark. Yeah,
they're just trying to break up that charge of the light brigade as they head down to that first corner. They've had a lot of first corner carnage in the V8. You're trying to squeeze that many cars to a finite amount of space. It always produces problems.
That is the problem. You know, don't forget, you've got a full capacity field here of all competitive cars and that. Everybody gets off the line more or less the same. So it's, you know, that's it. You know, you're going to get those sort of first corner things.
Yeah. There's the Bridgestone race analysis. As we said, a maximum grid of 32, 21 laps each race distance. And first to 20th, this is more than Formula Fords, I can tell you, separated by just 1 second. So it is quite incredible. Last year's winner, Craig Lowndes, of course, only 2 races here last year. We were flooded out, rained out in race 3. First time in the championship's history that a race was actually cancelled. But it's a beautiful day here in Melbourne today for race 1 as they wind down to the grid. Now you'll see the new grid format. There's in fact a row after the first 4. There's a row in between that is left vacant. So it spreads them out from after row 4. We'll see how that works for the first time as they all plunge and head into the opening turn.
It's not a bad idea because the critical thing is here when you've got 2 cars starting alongside each other, you've got a whole bunch of them doing the same thing. They're naturally going to go into the first corner door to door.
Well, everybody wants the same bit of road into the first corner, don't they? Yeah. So that's a big old grid, though, isn't it? They've resurfaced, incidentally, they've resurfaced that straight there, which is good, because the inside line where Jason Bright is would normally be the dirty line, so it's not so much of a disadvantage at the moment.
Craig Lowndes at the moment suffering his longest streak of not winning since he started back in '96. The last time he won around this year was Barbagallo. So Lowndes has been out of the top spot for a few race meetings. That just shows how competitive the V8 supercars are becoming now.
Mark Scaife, his teammate, starts from position number 3 alongside Russell Ingall. Bright is the sole forward on the first 2 rows, and then there's 3 back further with Crompton, Radicic and Bowe. There is...
It used to be a long time.
Holding him up now, we get going. All right, get ready. This is round 8 of the Shell Championship Series. Calder Park. Will Bright steer forward to their first victory here in V8 history? We'll wait and see. Green light, away we go. They both got away to a fairly even start. Tander got a ripper on the outside. Here they go. It's Craig Lowndes will lead them down. Mark Scaife got away to a nice clean start. Radicic is out on the grass. Paul Radicic is there as well. Bright, now watch the braking duel. Scaife's going to try and tuck in there. He does.
Yeah, it's been close between Ingall and Brighty.
One of the Shell Fords hung out to dry on the grass there, managed to get back on the racing line. But that was a bad start by Jason Bright. The car just bogged down a little bit. And now he's got to chase those. So look at the gaggle. Well, someone's lost the front spoiler.
That's one of the shell cars.
I'd say that would be Radicic. By the looks of things, he was the leading Shell Helix car as they all swoop over the top. Lowndes leads the way and Scaife in second, then Bright. Ingle back to Tander. We pick up Neil Crompton, and it is Radicic.
Yeah, Radicic.
Well, that's going to cost him dearly. He'll probably have to come in and try and put another one on because it really does affect the handling of these cars. No, he's staying out there. See if he can fight for position. But this is quite a fast track, particularly as they come down the end of this straight. They're doing over 260 kilometres an hour, braking back from 6th to 2nd gear. The car does require a lot of stability. This may really hurt him.
The kink on the back straight is going to be really exciting for the first time round, because you don't know how much it's affected it until it's basically too late, really.
Steve Johnson tries to go around the outside of Stephen Richards, who's done well. He started 12th. He's up there. Stephen Richards into 9th position, so 3 quick positions made. Cameron Mcconville is there with John Faulkner right behind, and that is Glenn Seaton right in the middle.
That's an impressive performance from Stephen Johnson. He's hardly driven the car this year. He turns up at Calder and puts it in the top 10, where those cars are usually separated by tenths, maybe hundredths of a second. That's a very instant show of form.
Well, speaking of form, none better than these guys this year. The 2 Mobil 1 cars, quite outstanding. Jason Bright in the Pertec Ford sits 3rd. Saw Ross Stone just before the start of this race. He said, we're feeling good. We can take it right to him today, but it's already proving to be a hard task. Lowndes has cleared out.
First flying lap of 56.42 for our race leader. Scaife at 56.40. Bright at 56.5. 56.9. So here comes Paul Radicic. Yeah, they've called him in. Probably really struggling with that car. They'll try and put a front spoiler back on, but that run down from the start has proved very costly for car Shell 18. Word from the pits is that Bargwanna has suffered a drivetrain problem.
Mark Poole and Greg Murphy.
It's the new John Deere sponsorship on Poole's ex-Mobile Holden Racing Team car. Paul Radicic in pit lane. Let's hope it's just bodywork. Looks like they're going to take him out, but that's really dropped him right to the back of the field.
And that is going to make a hard day's work, because a tough result in race 1 always makes a lot of work. This is on board with Glenn Seaton on the opening lap as they squeeze on in there. You can see Steve Johnson just ahead, Bow out to the left.
Yeah, it's, well, you can see how it's so easy to get into trouble, and like that, as an example. Basically, you know, somebody in front just gets on the brakes fractionally earlier, and you all of a sudden get on the brakes really hard, and then somebody's up the back of you before you know it.
Some pretty forceful driving there too by Stephen Richards, who went right around the outside.
Yeah, it just shows how much elbowing's going on in that first lap. Field settling out. Let's have a look at that incident again.
Well, it's hard. It's hard. Yes, Murphy and Paul, it's hard to say, but you know, you can't say whether Murph was up the inside there getting on. I don't know, because we picked it up, you know, got it sort of late. Impossible to make a sort of comment.
Craig Lowndes, who won this round last year, leads the way. There's his teammate Mark Scaife. These two guys looking very dangerous at Calder. This was their previous test circuit. They now test at the Phillip Island circuit, but they know this track as well as anybody. Russell Ingall back there in 4th, Garth Tander holding on to 5th. Then Crompton, this is close here, back to Bow, and Stephen Richards looks like he's holding on as Bow looks for an inside run on Crompton.
Jason Bright lapped the quickest then, so he should be making a little bit of inroad into Scaife as well. Scaife's lead is not much of a lead, is it? We're 2nd place rather.
On board the Cat Ford with John Bow, the big, clear and simple car can, as he tries to track down Neil Crompton. Neil's had a real boost in confidence, hasn't he? Ever since he took that a very close second to Garth Tander in the final heat at Queensland Raceway 2 weeks ago. He was very fast here in qualifying. Actually sat on top of the timing monitors for quite a long time in that 14-minute qualifying session.
It's always the way, though, Mark.
Yeah.
I mean, you just need that little sort of kick along, and it's fantastic. Yeah. It's amazing what the old brain does, isn't it?
Well, courtesy of that incident with Mark Poole, Murphy is back in 25th position, and word through that Bargwanna has suffered a driveline problem, and he is at the back of the pack, and I think he has actually come in. Meanwhile, his teammate Garth Tander is still there in 5th position, holding off a determined charge by Neil Crompton. So we go back on board with the Cat Ford. Let's have a listen to this big machine roar.
Yeah, I was going to say, listen when he comes at a fast kick. And listen and look, watch. it.
The battle for 5th position continues between Garth Tander, Neil Crompton and John Bowe. Paul Radicic has rejoined the race, but the trouble is under this 3-race format that your finishing positions from Heat 1 determine your starting positions for Heat 2. So Paul Radicic has really damaged his day by having that first corner incident.
Well, even if he can make up sort of 2 or 3 places, it gets you another 2 lines further forward. When you've got 30 odd blokes out there, it makes a big difference.
Now this looks like Stephen Johnson battling Stephen Richards. We have a look at Bowe again, who incidentally won his appeal from Queensland Raceway and was awarded the race win in that 3rd race.
Now, I have to say that when you think about it, John was black flagged, he didn't come in, and if I was one of the drivers now, having John ignore the black flag, turned out quite rightly so. Now, if I was a driver and I got a black flag, I'd ignore it, because I'd be totally within my rights to ignore the black flag, because, well, hang on a second, you know, you gave John Bowe the black flag, and he got away from it, so why shouldn't I? So you get black flagged on the first lap, stay out, and take your chance, wouldn't you?
That's always the danger when you set a precedent,
Absolutely.
Because once you get in the courtrodroom, you can say, well, you did it for him.
Yeah.
Well, why is it different for me?
Minor 10 lap counter, lap 8 of 21. This battle continues. This is for 8th and 9th. Richards in the Wins Commodore and Steve Johnson in the Shell Helix Ford. It's only his 3rd drive of this car in '99. He did a test day at Lakeside and a test day at Queensland Raceway, and hasn't raced since the FAI 1000 Classic at Bathurst last November. So he is an enormously talented young driver who just gets these intermittent drives, but his talent remains. And when he gets a regular drive, look out.
Steve Johnson does look quicker than Stephen Richards at the moment. You look, he's all over the back of it.
Well, he made quite a dramatic change to the car this morning after qualifying yesterday. They made some adjustments to the shock absorbers and a few other things, but he said the trouble was the warm-up session this morning was damp,
waste of time,
so they weren't able to go out and get any representative time, so it was a bit of a stab and a bit of a guess at the setup this morning, but the car seems to still be working pretty well. He's hanging in there behind Stephen Richards, who's on the constant improve. You've got to admit, with the Gibson Motorsport car, these guys now consistently in the top 10, and anyone in the top 10 is doing a good job.
Speaking of doing a good job, only a couple of positions behind these guys is Cameron Mcconville, former Super Touring and GTP driver, who is in the older VS Commodore of John Faulkner's and is running in 11th position. Unfortunately, this is Cameron's last drive in the series until we get to the Enduros, where he joins the Mobil 1 Holden Racing team. But for someone who has just jumped into this car, unfamiliar with it, he's done a very good job. There he is there in the Warwick Fabrics Echo Commodore, number 96. And he is right behind Glenn Seaton, so well done, the young Melbourne driver.
Glenn's struggling this weekend, isn't he? You know, I asked him why, and he said, well, Neil was quicker than I was, and I've gone as quick as I can go. He just can't seem to get that last little bit.
Well, he actually said he's looking around for some fresh input, because it's become so competitive now. You really have to explore as many avenues as you can with these cars' development, because it's just becoming so tight and tough at the top.
Mcconville looking at Seaton. This car will be handed over to 16-year-old Paul Dumbrell at the next round at Symonds Plains. And it's intended that the car will be shared by Paul Dumbrell and, do you remember Darren Hossack, who used to run in the Wins cars? Well, Darren is coming back, that is the word.
It's amazing now, when I first came to Australia, you thought as the touring cars, the V8s, with all the old boys in it. Now there's some really young guys in it. The chap from the Northern Territory, how old is he?
17.
Just 17.
And he's back in 24th position, and he qualified at his very first time, which was great.
Down the main straight once again, Lowndes in command. 1.1 seconds the gap over his teammate Mark Scaife. Jason Bright now dropping back 3.8 seconds the gap between the Pertec Ford and Mobil Holden Racing Team duo. So Bright's sort of matching the times. He's only like 0.2 of a second away that last time around.
Oh, getting on it.
This team still holds this commanding advantage. They've just got the great race package, the best drivers. They've got the suspension set up working very well on the cars and consistently competitive. Well,
Lowndes has been, to give you an indication of how consistent he has been this year, he has finished in the top 3 in every single race, bar 2.
Yeah.
Getting close to the halfway distance.
See the way the cars squirm and move around down there. It's a very, very bumpy part of the track. The fastest part, in fact, over 260 kilometres an hour on the approach to the braking area. It's downhill, it's bumpy. They've got to work back from 6th to 2nd gear before they turn into that corner. It's a real fun ride.
That's a good shot, wasn't it? It actually shows you how tight that little change of direction is.
I tell you who is going quicker. Ingle's going quicker. Watch just behind that single at the bottom of the picture there. So I reckon it's going to catch Jason.
No change in the top 10. It is still behind Russell Ingle, Tander, Crompton, Bauer, Richard, Steve Johnson and Glenn Seaton rounding out that top 10. Bright in 3rd. Interesting story with these guys that after the Willowbank round at Queensland Raceway, Ross and Jim Stone weren't exactly happy with what happened, although they finished on the podium. And they had a team meeting and everyone agreed it was a unanimous decision that they'd work 7 days a week to get the car to a test day at Queensland Raceway the following Monday and then get it here, and then Bright put it on pole position. So the team rewarded for their hard work. We get back, the battle continues, although Stephen Johnson not as close to Richards. Now he's dropped back and he's come into the clutches of Glenn Seaton. Look at this. Seaton trying to put an inside move on and Johnson driving defensively.
He's got something loose under the car there. You can see when you're looking under it coming down the straight.
See that.
Something hammering. It may just be part of the bodywork coming loose at the back, but doesn't seem to be slowing Glenn down at all. We're all over the back of Stephen Johnson's Shell 17 car. They go on board with Seaton. Right into the heart of this battle, flat out through the chicane on the back straight. They head up toward this braking area, about 230 kilometres an hour. This place, oh, look at that.
Locked her up there.
Squirm under brakes from Stephen Johnson, really using up all the car's got. It's allowed Seaton to get closer, but not finding a way past so far. It's going to be a real drag strip as they come onto what is called the Park Drag Strip. They use that for a drag race meetings here all throughout the summer. So it's perfectly suited to this straight line warfare. Seaton sitting right in behind the Shell Ford. They're coming down toward the braking area once again. Johnson well positioned on the inside, giving Seaton nowhere to go. Cameron Mcconville.
Oh, Radisich.
Oh, he is having a terrible day, isn't he?
Well, you've got to try as hard as you can, you know, once you get out again. But look
at the
damage again.
Spoiler number 2.
Oh, I have to say that, you know, the regulation should be stick those things minimum. Everybody has to have them 5 inches off the ground at the front. It would stop so much carnage. It would stop so many people having to come into the pits the whole time.
So
and it'd be the same for for both mates.
Paul was saying yesterday that, well, despite what we're seeing at the moment, he is really enjoying his time in this championship, and he admitted that it is much harder than he ever anticipated. So here's a good scrap further back. You can see Mark Larkham, Paul Wheel. The last car in the group there is Mark Poole. Here's a replay of the Radisich incident.
Radisich
well, he's got that front damage earlier on, obviously.
It was already there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But it just locked up on the rear end, and that was that.
Yeah, it's tough and competitive racing out there. And a guy with this man's experience, 38 years of age, competed for many years in the British Touring Car Championship. And he says this is as tough as you'll find anywhere on the planet. Great battle here, further back in the pack.
Dougal McDougall in the yellow Quench VT Commodore, and this is Cameron Mclean in the Greenfield Mowers ex-Dick Johnson car. There's David Parsons and Steve Reed.
Good challenge by Reed along the outside as they come down toward turn 1. Paul Wheel in behind. There's the ex-Mobile Commodore with the John Deere sponsorship.
And Mclean gets McDougall on the inside. Mark Larkham into the pits.
There may be oil flags out down there. Let's drop something on the track. 5 laps remaining, so Larko with some damaged rear bodywork. What are the boys going to do here? Try and
tap up the rear end there, by the looks of it. Just get shot of it.
Yeah, oh, I see all the diffuser on the back of the car is broken off, so it's going to send him out without it for the final laps.
Very unattractive look at it.
This is Steve Reed in the Microplex PPG car chasing David Parsons. This is a privateer battle here. In behind them in the AU XR8 is Paul Wheel. Turned 20 during the week, and Mark Poole, the Adelaide driver, returns in the John Deere ex-Craig Lowndes car. Now there's some damage on the back of Reed's car also.
Parsons doing pretty well in the championship this year. He's 2 positions ahead of Reed as they go hard under brakes side by side. Reed goes a little bit deeper. Now can he hold onto this as he comes through the corner? He's coming pretty hot. A little bit offline. Oh, Parsons gives him a tap into the bargain. Paul Wheel's copped it too.
Wrong place, wrong time for Paul Wheel, unfortunately.
A little bit of a tap there caused all that.
Yes. Well, good action amongst the privateers. Oh, Paul Wheel, he's going to put that one away. There's steam coming out of these. Probably punctured the radiator.
Well, they're in the right business, aren't they? K&J radiators. They can fix it themselves.
Paul Wheel, in fact, PWR supplies most of the radiators for V8 supercars.
Watch. A little bit of a bump. There you go. Round to go.
And Wheel's got...
Paul had nowhere to go, dude. Look at that. And gets 2 lots. Oh, dear. That's very unlucky.
Tried his hardest to avoid it, didn't he?
Well, there was nowhere to go, was he? Unless you go over the top, helicopter fashion. There's a wallop.
Well, Paul Radisich has decided to call it a day too, after suffering similar fate somewhere in the field. So he's broken 2 front spoilers and he's out of the car. 4 laps, 3 laps remaining. David Parsons now coming under attack from Mark Poole.
Oh!
Cameron Mclean, what a great battle up the inside as they head up toward the S's.
Mclean getting very impatient on Mark Poole, but Poole determined to make his return to the Shell Championship Series a successful one. Really enjoying his time. And here's Darren Pate, the ex-Wings driver in the Terry Finnegan car. You'll see some different signage on the side of that. Word through that Parsons has been given the black flag for turning Steve Reed around.
Well, he got a black flag for jumping the start in the Privateers Cup race at Queensland 2 weeks ago, so he's getting a few black flags.
Some new sponsorship on the side of Terry's car that Darren has brought to the party, and he's trying to get past the new VT here. This is a real credit to that team. That car is quite old, and Darren is taking it up there and mixing it with him. Look at Cameron Mclean on the inside of Mark Poole. Plenty of horsepower on the Greenfield Mowers car.
And
squeezes the inside, gets there. Nice work, Cameron Mclean.
Oh, look at that. Goes out over the ripple strip. This cost him 1-2. Is Pate going to get through as well?
Touch, no.
Oh, Mark Poole, the ex-Mobile Holden Racing Team Commodore. The car, in fact, Craig Lowndes won the sensational Adelaide 500 with. It's a good machine.
Well, look at this. Jason Bright has closed the gap on Mark Scape, and so too Russell Ingall on Bright.
Jason, yeah.
So 2 laps with inside 2 laps. They come flashing past Rod Nash in the Auto Pro Commodore.
Well, there's a guy using the traffic very well.
Look at it.
Side by side under brakes, but
wrong side of the circuit, though.
Bright's well positioned on the inside.
Brighty's run a little bit wide there, but no.
Ingall goes for the switchback.
I love it when Ingall's in a hurry.
Yeah. He's always in a hurry.
They're coming out to get the last lap board. This is a run to
this should
home.
be interesting. Down into the right-hander here. Well, the whole lap should be good with Ingall on the charge.
Anthony Tratt just out to the left there in the Toll Express AU, so whether he will hold his line or whether he'll realise to let these guys on through.
Battle for a podium position here. This is the battle for third between Jason Bright and Russell Ingall, the 2 Mobile Holden Racing Team Commodores just ahead of them. It's like a go-kart track through this back part of the track.
Looking good, though.
Look how tight it is here. Ingall.
That's a great shot, and you can really see
up over the rise.
This is the run to home. Russell Ingall menacing the Pertec Ford of Jason Bright. Watch this.
One other place, and he's on it. Jason's got it covered there. If he can get ready out, no, there's not really enough room.
While these guys battle it out, it has been a reasonably comfortable ride for Craig Lowndes up front. A little further up the road as Russell tries to put a move on, but it's Lowndes' race. He takes out the first here at Calder Park, as he did last year. The 98 winner picks up another win. In 1999, his teammate Mark Scafe will get there for second. It's tight for third. Ingall has pulled out of the draft and the run to the line. He won't get there, though. The Pertec Ford of Jason Bright will hang on to that third spot, and Russell Ingall, despite a determined effort, will finish 4th. Well, there you have it.
Lowndes continuing to build on that points gap. Coming into this championship, coming into this championship round, I should say, 1,096 points with Bright on 904.
192-point lead.
Yeah, you really need Lowndes to fall over if they're going to try and close that gap. But the thing is, they've still got those 2 big Enduros coming at the end of the year with double points for drivers. So this championship's not over by a long shot.
And that's an interesting point you make there, because it is double points for each driver.
Yeah.
Not just for the team. So Rodney Forbes, one of the privateers there. So an exciting battle further back for the miners, but it was a reasonably cruisy run for Lowndes as he returns to pit lane victorious. Scape in for second as we check the Shell Helix race score. Bright and Ingall, Tander and Crompton, nothing changed with that battle. Bow and Richards, who came from 12th to 8th. The good run for Steve there. We go back to 9th, and Glenn Seaton in the Ford Tickford Racing AU ahead of Steve Johnson. Mcconville 11th, ahead of Longhurst, Faulkner and Perkins back in 14th.